Hello, and welcome back to my channel, Boozy Bookish Thoughts. I'm Justine, and welcome to today's video. So today we'll be doing the Booktube Newbie Tag, which is perfect since I'm a Booktube newbie. And I hope this way that I'll be able to meet more people and engage with some people who are always interested in looking up new booktubers. So please pour a glass and have some boozy bookish time with me. So the first question is, this is a sweet Spanish red. It's pretty good. It's sweeter than I usually go, but it was one of the wines I tried for my birthday. Um, so stay tuned for a birthday wine and book haul. But anyway, so the first question is, why did you start this channel? So I started this channel because I love reading, I love books, and I love the booktube community. I love how it's very open and lots of people get to share their thoughts and exchange ideas on books, both the newest books that are coming out and about older books, like the backlog of books that authors have that authors have. And I just love this community and I really want to be a part of it. I really want to be able, I mean, obviously you can be a part of it as a consumer, but I also really wanted to put my voice out there and I wanted to be able to share my love for reading and of course my love for wine. And build my own little community on booktube. I hope to find a little corner that I can call my own and create a safe space for other book lovers out there. So what are some fun and unique things you can bring to YouTube? So this isn't my first video. I don't know if it's supposed to be your first video, but in my case, this is like my fourth video. So I hope by doing this that if anyone's interested by my Booktube Newbie Tag video, that they'll go back and check out some of the other videos I've done. So one of the videos I've done there is wine and book pairing. So as you can see, I love wine. I love drinking wine while I'm reading books. And I think that one of the unique things I'll be bringing is my wine and book pairing video series. So in there, I will be taking a wine and I'll be pairing it with some books based on their vibes. So things like, oh, this wine is summery and tastes like what you'd read at the beach. What books go with that? So things like that. It's something I do for myself. Honestly, I always try and match the wines I read, the wines I read, the wines I drink to the books I'm reading, so that it's like a full experience. And it doesn't always work out because it does depend on what wine I have on hand and what books I'm reading. But when it does work out, it's perfect. So it's like I want to share that experience with you. It's a form of book recommendation, but it centers around wine, and it's kind of just a fun way for me to set a theme for each week. Or not each week, I think I'm doing it every other week. Another thing that I want to do on my channel is discuss um, autism and ADHD. So I'm autistic and ADHD, and I know for sure that my neurodivergence affects my readership or how I am as a reader. So I want to be able to talk about how neurodivergence affects reading. So things like executive dysfunction, making reading a habit, and even the way that I make sense of certain characters are definitely impacted by my autism and ADHD. I would love to be able to do a series on like on characters that are coded autistic or ADHD or things like that. And yeah, that's definitely another different take that I have. I do want to bring that kind of disability rep to my channel, and that kind of, it's not just about representation, it's also about just normalizing what life is like with autism and ADHD, and in particular this hobby, which is reading. And I think there's a lot to be said about it. And yeah, I'm hoping to include that kind of content on my channel. So the next is, what am I most excited about for my channel? Oh, I'm excited about a lot. All of this is just exciting for me. I'm so new. I'm so new to Booktube. I'm so new to filming videos. I'm so new to editing videos. Everything that's scaring me right now is just like pure excitement. But what am I most excited about? I'm excited about building my own community. I'm excited about sharing my love for reading with so many people. I'm excited to try and reach people from all around the world to hear everybody's thoughts on some of my favorite books. And yeah, I want to create a safe space for autistic and ADHD and other neurodivergent readers where we can talk about how our neurodivergence impacts our reading, about how um, yeah, I'm most excited about the community aspect. I want to be able to have my own little safe space on the internet that is curated around books that I love, around a shared love of reading, and yeah, um, that's basically it. Next is why do you love reading? Whew. Going straight for the deep questions, right? Why do you love reading? It's like when your toxic ex asks you, "Why do you love me?" No, but reading isn't toxic most of the time. But why do I love reading? Mostly I will have to say I love reading because I love stories. I love stories. I love learning other people's stories. I love learning stories from other places, stories about other lives, other worlds. I like to know I like to know how things turn out. I mean, obviously, I want to know what happens next. So that's like a basic thing with reading. But also for me, I think this comes from the fact that I read a lot of fantasy, and one of my favorite aspects of fantasy is world building. So I think this is what I love the most. I think I like, maybe it's again my neurodivergence, but I like being able to, oh gosh, I'm not holding the wine glass wrong. No haters come for me. I love figuring out the rules of the world I'm reading about. Now, when I read books that are contemporary and set in the real world, then that means it helps me figure out the rules of the real world, at least according to that book. And obviously it falls into certain tropes and things like that. And I'm able to categorize my life a little bit more. Um, and but when it comes to fantasy and things like that, it's just so much fun to dive deep into a new world, trying to figure out the rules of that world, what isn't polite there, what isn't acceptable for a certain character to do. um it's very interesting. There's a lot of nuance, and it's really great. It's just fun. And ultimately, I why do I love reading? I love reading because it's fun for me. I love reading because it brings me joy, and it's why shouldn't I love something that brings me joy? Admittedly, some books don't bring me joy when they're heart-wrenching and the characters are just but you know what I mean. There's still catharsis. There's catharsis. It's cathartic. Um, what book or series got me into reading? Whew. For this, we have to go way deep. Flashbacks. Woo. Okay. The thing is, there's no one book or series that got me into reading. I got into reading because my family was really into reading. Um, my family is a big reading family, although admittedly I'm a bit of a standout. I mean, even within my family. But as a young kid, I was read to a lot, and it was very my the adults in my life as a child were very patient with me about reading to me. And I consumed so many books as a child, even before I could read for myself. And I even after I could read for myself, it was an acceptable form of spending time with each other for them to read to me. And in fact, one of my earliest memories is of being read to. hang on. I was drinking from a bottle. It was a little, like a bottle with it had a red cap and little carrots on it. And I was on the bed and I was nursing from the bottle, and my mom was beside me reading to me from a book about cats, or at least the story was about cats. Like the cover had two cats on it, one gray, one orange, and they were like playing a butterfly. There was purple border around the cover. So that's like my earliest memory ever. So clearly reading has always been a big part of my life. If you want to know about some of the earliest books that I did read, things like the Ladybird series, the Berenstain Bears, those were like really young books that I read. I got a little older, I went into things like Nancy Drew notebooks or Babysitter's Club Little Sister, and so on. So yeah, I've been into reading from when I was a kid. I admit there was a bit of a reading slump when I first started working, like as a not so young adult. I went into a bit of a reading slump, but not really. I was still reading. I just wasn't reading books. I was reading a lot of fan fiction. I was reading a lot of articles from different magazines and things like that. So I take that back. There was never really a slump. It's just a matter of what you consider acceptable reading. And we don't gatekeep here on this channel. So no, there was never a slump. I was just reading different things. But yeah, so I've been into reading for forever. I don't remember the specific book or series that got me into it because I was probably too young to remember. So the next question is, what question would you ask your favorite booktubers? So for me, how do you grow your channel? Any secrets? Um, but I'd love to know how you're able to read so much. I do not read nearly as much as some people on Booktube do. Um, and I'd love to get tips on how to incorporate more reading into my life. Mostly because of my disabilities, I either read 2 books in a month or 2 books in a day. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but not much. It is a bit of a all or nothing. So I'd love to hear tips on that. And I'd also love tips on um I would love tips on how to I'd love tips on how to DNF a book. I have a hard time letting go. I always feel guilty about DNFing a book. Um I will put it down, but I will never officially DNF it because I will say that I will come back to it later. So I would love tips on how to know when it's time to let go. About a book. That's what she said. Anyway, what challenges will be the hardest with Booktube? Definitely for me, the hardest will be consistency. Like I said earlier, I'm disabled. So consistency can be a bit of an issue in terms of energy, in terms of productivity. Um, I will do my hardest. This is, like I said, I'm so excited for this. This is a labor of love. Um, I'm definitely committed to this and I want to make it work. So I hope that my enthusiasm will carry me through. And I do have a support system who are very kindly cheering me on. Thank you to you people. I don't know if they actually watch the videos once they go up on YouTube or not, because they usually watch it um, while I'm editing it. But yeah, so I hope that I'm able to stay consistent. I'm doing my best, but definitely consistency will be hard. Um, when did I start reading? Like I said, I started reading at a pretty young, or I started being read to at a pretty young age. When I myself started reading around 5 or 6, I was in, no, not 5 or 6, because by 6 I was in grade school. So around 5, I guess, because I was in preschool when I started reading. Although according to my mom, I started reading late, or at least later than average. Um, but as soon as I started, there was no stopping me. I could not be stopped from reading. As a grade 1 child, I was reading third grade books and so on and so forth. I just read everything I could get my hands on. There's a joke about a time, and there's a joke story in my family about a time that I read my sister's watch warranty, and because of that, I was able like her watch broke a couple weeks later, and they were like wondering how to solve it, and I was like, oh no, you can take it to the store and stuff, and it's because of the warranty. And they're like, how do you know that? I was like, I read the warranty. And they're like, why didn't you read the warranty? I was like in second grade at this point. But so yes, I started reading when I was around 5, didn't stop reading until then, anything and everything I could get my hands on. Where do I read? Mostly I read in my room in bed. I live at home with family, so the only place that's really kind of my own space is my room. Mostly I will read in bed. Sometimes I go downstairs to read in like the living room, but that's very rare. More often, if I don't feel like reading in my room, I will take myself out and I will go to like a local Starbucks and read there. I do also sometimes read in bars. There are a couple of bars nearby my home that have unlimited mojitos, and I go there and read there and drink unlimited mojitos. What kind of books do I read? Oh, mostly I read fantasy. I mostly read fantasy in all its different variations. I have a soft spot for urban fantasy, but will never say no to sword and sorcery. I also read some sci-fi. I'm trying to read more sci-fi now. There are a couple of sci-fi series that are on my TBR list that I'm hoping to finish out. Well, one of them is too long to finish out this year, but one of them is like only a trilogy, and I'm hoping to finish it out by the end of the year. Um, so I do enjoy sci-fi. Um, I do read romance once in a while. Like contemporary romances, I do read those once in a while. I also read a lot of cozy mysteries, like cozy historical mysteries with little old ladies solving crimes. That's my jam. That's just like on a Friday night, just sit down with some rosé and then read um a cozy mystery. It's just perfect. Um, I do read thrillers. Don't get me wrong. I love a good thriller too, but sometimes there's nothing better than just hearing about little old ladies reading solving crimes. Um, so there, those are that's kind of my reading landscape. I do read some nonfiction. I do read some literary fiction, but very very sparingly. I'm trying to get into more nonfiction, in particular more true crime, since I do enjoy true crime content, and also more I read a lot of nonfiction for university, obviously, so I'm trying to get more into that. But honestly, with the rate I read, it's gonna take forever. What else? That's it. Oh, the other question that's often asked is, what does your book collection look like? Honestly, right now, because I moved around a lot in the past couple of years, my book collection is mostly in boxes right now. So, not gonna be able to show you a nice bookshelf tour, but I have mostly migrated my reading onto Kindle and onto Scribd. So I read mostly ebooks and audiobooks now. I have a few hard copy books, very few, but mostly ebooks and audiobooks. So I do hope to show you my Kindle sometime, my Kindle library sometime, so that I can give you an idea of what I have prioritized for my reading, and like just as a journal what I've hauled. Like I said, I'll be doing a birthday wine and book haul. So yeah, but it's really unfortunate. I do love collecting physical books, and I really wish I could still continue to buy physical books. But realistically, we don't get nearly as many of the books that I want to read here in the bookstores here, especially some of the more indie publications. We just don't get them, and financial reasons, it's just so much cheaper, and storage reasons. Yeah, if it makes anyone feel better, there aren't any independent bookstores, or there are very few independent bookstores, and none of them are near my home here. So it's while I may be supporting a big chain, it's not, wouldn't be any different if I were supporting the big chain here as well. So with that, that is my Booktube Newbie Tag. I hope that I was able to introduce myself to everybody and give all of you a bit of a taste of my personality and see what I'm like. And um I hope you come back and or go back to look at my past videos and come back. On Friday we'll be doing another wine and book pairing. So I hope to see you there. Cheers.